Hello, Professor Laura. I'm Lilia Andrea Garcia, and with my partners Wilson Garcia and Giselle Bautista, are going to talk about some tension and trends in pedagogical practice, having in mind the content of unit number 2, problematizing bilingual education, principles, styles, and measurement. For my tension number 1, I have practicing bilingual education differ from reality. In this tension, we can see how our regulation in education in Colombia has become the duration for English teachers in an idealistic process. This instruction given by government goes in opposite way from reality teachers have to face in our pedagogical practice. For this tension, I propose to train the role of teacher in bilingual practice, because as teacher we take an important part in our pedagogical practice because we know our context and needs, and sometimes our teaching practice go in opposite way from the idealistic class. Our methods and teaching strategies are different. In order to obtain the best result, we need to establish the strategies and methodologies according to our students group or the needs that our students have. For the tension number 2, I have the preceded role of mother tongue in the teaching practice. It's common to find some expression in school, especially in bilingual school, like if you are an English teacher, why are you speaking Spanish in your class? And this is due to the traditional concept that we have that when we are teaching English, we need to speak and give instructions only in English. But the reality shows us that this practice, for example, in official school, is not the same in a bilingual school. For example, if we look the results that has been the same for many years in students of 11th grade when they take the pruebas saber 11, in contrast with the test by students in a bilingual school, we can see how students of official school obtain the level in English. For this tension, I propose the use of the mother tongue in order to increase the literacy skills and children participation. As Brian said, 2014, two languages are better than one.
21st century bilingual education. Despite the drift that exists on bilingual models or programs and the need for quality research on local learning environments at a worldwide level, where population, resources, training programs, and learners' needs differ, two trends could improve the tensions mentioned above: the meta-research in bilingual education and the pedagogical translanguaging trend. Bibliometric research has recently evolved into a standard procedure for the analysis of research development. Despite the wealth of studies on bilingual education, there is a scarcity of meta-research on the worldwide development over the last 20 years in bilingual education. Therefore, meta-analysis research like worldwide trends in bilingual education research and half-century overview allow experts and teachers to explore research tendencies according to time issues, geographical areas, institutional support, main sources, and research subfields. This kind of scientific-based research is needed in bilingual education. Pedagogical translanguaging is a useful and organized pedagogy that implement effective practices that have been proven to solve problems in local bilingual learning environments. Also, its scientific-minded approach encourages the conduction of new research on local schools to address specific needs. The use of first languages to learn English, for example, was proven to be effective in collaborative activities of Malaysian fifth grade peers. Even though English-only policies are still prevalent in many educational contexts and countries, translanguaging cannot be completely restrained because it is naturally occurring recurring phenomenon for multicultural and multilingual learners. Conclusions. Due to the fact that research, analysis, and studies continue to have great influence on the implementation of pedagogical practices and policies in bilingual education, bilingual teachers must critically examine the research documents and digital content they are consuming, and look for those scientific-minded research or scientific-based research instead of intellectual-minded research. According to Swim 1977 and Cortina 2022, scientific-minded individuals are those who are more optimistic in doing research and finding practical solutions to problems that are based in local context to help people and address the needs that they are identifying. The intellectual-minded individuals who are also conducting research have the tendency to be more pessimistic, or they tend to demonize the revolutions or reformations of other individuals that could have improved situations if it wasn't for their comments. And so bilingual teachers need to have a more scientific-minded approach than an intellectual-minded approach.
When thinking about the pedagogical practices of bilingual education, we cannot forget one of the most important aspects related to how tests are created, designed, and the purpose we want to achieve with them. But the conception of bilingualism, in which two languages work as separate systems, and the person who speaks those languages should master both at the same level, has an impact on how we conceive and plan strategies, practices, and the evaluation. Therefore, this traditional idea of bilingualism has a strong influence on our pedagogical practices. In most of the schools in the country, the second language is only practiced inside the classroom, resulting in a lack of real practical use of the language. This is why the results of different tests like Prueba Saber 11 or PISA test represent the condition of bilingualism in Colombia. This monolingual vision of bilingualism has led to pedagogical practices such as transitional model presented by May and Baker. It is clear that most of the teachers in public schools here in Colombia have worked on this model, most of the times due to the policies. Therefore, the purposes, information, and data they want to obtain with the tests are related with this style. But the problem with these evaluations influenced by a monolingual view of bilingualism, among others, is that sometimes we cannot identify the strengths in the use of the whole linguistic repertoire students may have, something that is essential to accomplish useful communicative competence in our students. As an answer to this problem, different trends have emerged against the low results in the evaluation process, like pedagogical translanguaging, which provides other goals to obtain, not only with a linguistic angle, but bringing all the elements of culture and politics, which makes part of the learning a second language process. This holistic vision considers the use of different skills students have depending on the context and the communicative situation. As a conclusion, we can say our pedagogical practices are linked with the vision of what bilingualism is and entails. It cannot be measured from only one perspective, or even better, as separate systems or codes. The pedagogical translanguaging approach will serve to this purpose of changing the bilingual educational ship in Colombia.
Como se pudo apreciar, nos enfocamos en el aspecto de pedagogical practices y aunque se mencionaron tendencias parecidas, es decir, con el mismo nombre, pues esas tendencias tienen muchas aplicaciones en el aspecto evaluativo, en el aspecto de la práctica, en el aspecto de la investigación. Bueno, muchas gracias por haber escuchado esta presentación. Saludos, profesora Laura.